Hi, I'm Jacob, and I'm feeling quite anxious today because I'm about to do something significant. I'm heading over to Sarah's place to propose to her. Sarah and I were classmates in our youth, and we rekindled our romance after bumping into each other at a school reunion 6 months ago. Now in our 30s, we've had numerous conversations about our future together. Sarah has expressed her desire to get married, which initially made me a bit apprehensive, but I also thought it could be a great idea. Consequently, we made the decision to tie the knot. I can't shake off the feeling that I haven't proposed to Sarah the right way. We opted for a quick wedding, without extensive planning. Just a few days ago, we agreed that I would formally ask her to marry me at her house. I haven't had the chance to meet Sarah's parents since we started dating, but I vaguely remember seeing her father during middle school, likely at a parent-teacher night or school function. He struck me as serious and very focused on education, which left an impression on me. My own father passed away when I was young, and he had a more laid-back demeanor, so witnessing Sarah's dad being so engaged really stood out to me. He seems like a very earnest person. I'm concerned about how Sarah's dad will react when he finds out we're planning to marry so quickly and without a traditional proposal. He might think that 6 months is too short for a relationship. The more I ponder this, the more nervous I become. Last night was a struggle. I had difficulty sleeping, and this morning, I couldn't eat much. My mom noticed my unease and appeared worried. I mentioned that I would soon introduce her to my girlfriend, but I didn't specify it was Sarah. I want it to be a surprise. Given that my parents were also classmates in middle school, I believe she'll be pleased to learn that my future wife shares that connection. After my father's passing, our family faced financial difficulties, which forced me to start working right after middle school. My mom played a crucial role in keeping me grounded during that challenging period. She maintains a positive outlook, never speaks ill of others, and has a hopeful perspective on life, which has influenced me greatly. She doesn't pry much into my romantic life, probably because she knows I'm busy, but I want to reassure her. This is why I need today's meeting to go smoothly. I'm so anxious I feel like I might develop a stomach ulcer, but seeing my distress, my mom gave me a comforting pat on the back and said, "You've got this, son." She's right, I can't afford to show weakness now. I need to muster my courage. With that thought in mind, I set off for Sarah's house. Upon arriving, Sarah greeted me at the door and invited me inside. "Come in. My parents are waiting for you," she said, making my nerves spike. As I entered the living room, I saw her parents sitting on the couch, smiling warmly at me. "We're glad you could make it. We've been looking forward to your visit," they said kindly. A wave of relief washed over me. They seemed friendly and approachable, and I started to think this meeting might actually go well. After I introduced myself, Sarah's mom offered me some tea. "Thank you," I replied appreciatively. "I didn't realize you attended middle school with Sarah," I remarked, surprised. "Were you ever in the same class?" she asked. I explained that we hadn't shared classes, but had reconnected at the school reunion. "Oh, I see. I should remember you if you were a top student, even from another class," she mused, resting her chin on her hand, looking thoughtful. Before I could say anything else, Sarah chimed in with a chuckle. "Jacob wasn't exactly a straight-A student, was he? He was pretty average, right?" I wished she hadn't been so straightforward, but it was too late. I glanced at her mother and noticed her expression was unreadable. Sarah's comment shifted the atmosphere. What had been a pleasant exchange suddenly felt heavy and tense. After an awkward silence, Sarah's dad finally broke the ice. "Which college did you attend?" "I never went to college. In fact, I didn't finish high school. I started working right after middle school." I intended to be honest about my background when suddenly a cup of tea came flying towards me. Simultaneously, a voice yelled, "Don't lie to me. Sarah told me you were a CEO, but you're just a dropout who's been working since middle school. How can I trust someone like you to run a company? You're merely riding the startup wave, and you'll fail soon, mark my words." Sarah's dad glared at me in disbelief. He grabbed my collar and demanded, "What's your true intention?" Are you trying to exploit me because I'm an executive at a major company? I desperately attempted to explain, but he refused to listen. I can't trust someone who didn't complete high school. You don't belong here. Get out, he shouted, shoving me away and throwing a teacup in my direction. I couldn't even clarify the misunderstanding or calm him down. He kicked me, and I fell to the ground, with Sarah and her mom simply observing, not intervening. Then, everything faded to darkness. He overturned the dining table, and I attempted to dodge it, but it struck my foot. The pain was excruciating, and I couldn't help but moan. Stop being dramatic, scoffed Sarah's father. It can't hurt that much. Even Sarah chimed in, saying, You're so weak for a man. This is embarrassing. I knew I had to get out of there. Despite the throbbing in my foot, I managed to leave Sarah's house. When I returned home, my mom, who had been anxiously waiting for me, rushed to greet me. Seeing her filled me with relief, and I fainted. Jacob. Thank goodness you're awake. My mom's concerned face welcomed me as I opened my eyes, tears brimming in her eyes as I regained consciousness. Memories of the incident at Sarah's house flooded back. I had wanted to make her happy, but instead, I had only brought her worry and sadness. I'm sorry, Mom. I don't think I can introduce you to my girlfriend after all, I admitted. Don't stress about it, Jacob. I'm just relieved you're okay, my mom comforted me. I was shocked when you collapsed in front of me. You slept for a full day because of the shock. The doctor said it seems you broke a bone in your toe. You'll be discharged from the hospital soon, but healing will take about a month. They also discovered bruises all over your body. Encouraged by my mom, I began to recount the events of that day. As soon as I mentioned Sarah's last name, I noticed a shift in my mom's demeanor. Johnson? You don't mean her? Her face went pale. It hit me that during my junior high years, Sarah's dad had scolded my mom, claiming that having a child from a single-parent household around was a bad influence on his daughter. My father had passed away when I was young, and my mom, who worked tirelessly every day, could only attend school events once during those 3 years. She was deeply hurt by what Sarah's dad had said to her back then. She never spoke of it or showed signs of being affected, but now, seeing my mom's frustrated expression as she said, I can't believe the person who said such a thing hurt my son, made my anger flare. It wasn't just about him belittling me for only finishing junior high, he had also hurt my mom. At that moment, I resolved to confront both him and Sarah. The next day, I headed back to Sarah's house. I had informed her beforehand, but Sarah didn't seem remorseful about what had happened. Instead, she blamed me for the lack of communication while I was unconscious. That realization made me feel pathetic. The person I had planned to marry could act that way. But I also recognized it was a blessing to discover this, before tying the knot. When I arrived at Sarah's house, both of her parents were waiting outside. How dare you come back here? Don't you ever step foot in this house again. Sarah's dad was already aggressive. He didn't even acknowledge my crutches or the cast on my left foot. I have no intention of returning inside. I've decided to file a complaint, and I'm here to inform you, I declared. My statement seemed to take them by surprise, and they exchanged glances, before bursting into laughter. Wait, you're serious about filing a complaint? You weren't seriously injured. It's absurd to sue your fiancé's father. Sarah protested. I informed her that the engagement was off. I thought they would be shocked or upset by the news of the complaint and the breakup, but they appeared unconcerned. Don't give up just because the meeting didn't go well. If you apologize, Jacob, I'll ask my dad to give you another chance, Sarah said haughtily. Why should I apologize? My anger boiled over as I replied firmly, I have nothing to apologize for. I'm serious about ending the engagement and filing the complaint. Then Sarah, attempting to play the martyr, suggested that her father could easily dismiss a police report. He could even make this broken engagement vanish if it were to happen now. I couldn't believe her audacity. How dare she act so high and mighty? Even Sarah's dad joined in, saying, Sarah, we're better off without a man like this. Go ahead, file a police report if you wish. I doubt you have enough evidence for it to matter anyway, he sneered, laughing mockingly. Like father, like daughter. That saying suddenly seemed very fitting. Are you sure about that? I decided to interrupt their laughter. You have no evidence that I did anything, so the police won't be able to act. You thought I would back down if you mentioned a police report, didn't you? Fool. You should know better than to think that would intimidate me, I said, hands on my hips. Sarah's father laughed confidently. That's when I decided to reveal the truth of the situation. Actually, that's the evidence. Clearly not understanding what I meant, the three of them stared at me in disbelief. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. I had been recording everything since before I arrived. I needed proof that my injuries were caused by them. No matter how powerful they were in a big corporation, they couldn't escape an assault charge, with the evidence clear. Instead of apologizing, Sarah's father started shouting at me. How dare you? Go ahead, file your report. There's no way I'm letting you marry Sarah. Sarah's mother, who had been silent until that point, began to panic. We can still choose to forgive him right now, can't we, dear? She implored. No, I replied firmly. As I mentioned earlier, the engagement is terminated, and I will be filing a report. I refuse to marry someone who is indifferent when their fiancé is hurt and who joins in with their parents to mock me, I asserted. At my declaration, Sarah, who had previously looked down on me, began to panic. You're lying, Jacob. You said you wanted to marry me. You're a liar. In response, Sarah's father erupted in anger. You uneducated punk. I will never forgive you. He charged at me. His punch caught me off guard, sending me crashing to the floor. Sarah's mother rushed to intervene, desperately attempting to stop her husband from continuing his assault. Dear, this is serious. We don't know who might be watching, she pleaded, but her husband ignored her. You're just a figurehead CEO. You used that to charm Sarah, and now you want to sue me? I'll sue you for fraud, and I'll cancel our $5 million order with your company, he threatened. I had been mulling it over for some time and had resolved to trap this man as much as possible. What are you talking about, $5 million? There's no way you could land a deal like that. Sarah's father scoffed, getting off me and calling me a fool. Now was the moment to show him the truth. I called my mother. What are you hoping to accomplish by calling your mother? Sarah taunted me. You've only got one parent. How pathetic that your mother is your only support in times like this. It really makes a difference not having a father, doesn't it? Oblivious to what was about to happen, Sarah's father continued to belittle me. It was almost amusing. About 10 minutes later, the moment I had been anticipating finally came. Sarah's father's phone began to ring. He answered, stating it was from his company. Initially, he spoke confidently, but gradually his tone faltered, and his face drained of color. As soon as he hung up, he shot me a furious glare. What the hell have you done? He demanded. I did exactly what I said. I cancelled the order. I refuse to do business with a company that looks down on people based on their educational background or family situation, I explained calmly. Sarah's father still seemed unconvinced. There's no way someone with your limited education could pull that off. Do you have connections or something? He sneered, continuing to belittle my educational background. I lost all desire to continue the exchange. Believe what you want. Goodbye, I said, turning to leave. Wait a minute. Sarah's father shouted, trying to pursue me, but he was halted by Sarah and her mother, who demanded, what was this $5 million about? What was that phone call regarding? He was trapped. It was true that I had only completed middle school, and I had just caught the startup wave, but with the savings I accumulated with my mother, I had established a thriving business that collaborated with major corporations. Now, my mother, who was the vice president of my company, had contacted Sarah's father's company. I didn't want to mix personal issues with business, but I had reached my limit. Upon returning home and seeing my mother's usual cheerful demeanor, I felt guilty for dragging her into my personal matters. I felt as though my time as CEO had come to an end, and I regretted making her take on such an uncomfortable role. I'm sorry, Mom, for making you handle that unpleasant call. I apologize. Instead of being upset, my mother smiled. When I asked her the reason for her cheer, she replied, I came up with a great idea and decided it without consulting you, the CEO. It turned out that when my mother contacted the president of the other company, she informed them of Sarah's father's actions toward me. She suggested that if he were terminated, the cancellation of the order could be reversed. By the time I arrived home, the president of the other company had already called to inform me that Sarah's father had indeed been fired. True to her word, my mother ensured the order continued. I didn't mind making a call, and we didn't have to seek another supplier. We simply eliminated a toxic individual who only cared about status and belittled others. With that, my mother encouraged me, assuring me there was nothing to worry about. After that, I received a barrage of calls and messages from Sarah, urging me to marry her, so I blocked her number. According to a story I heard from a former middle school classmate, after this incident, Sarah discovered I was the CEO and approached me at our reunion. It seemed she wanted to become the CEO's wife, initiating a relationship and discussing marriage. Sarah's father was arrested after I filed a complaint. Sarah's mother, who had been bragging about her husband's job at a prominent company, couldn't handle the neighborhood's scrutiny upon discovering his arrest. She seemed to vanish, leaving Sarah behind. It was a fitting conclusion for a mother and daughter solely concerned with their reputation. I upheld our contract with the company where Sarah's father had worked, and we now enjoy a positive relationship. Discussions about new projects are underway, and it appears my days will remain busy yet fulfilling for some time. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.